Hey everyone, welcome back. We are diving deep today, and let me tell ya,
Diving deep is right.
it's going to be fascinating. So we're looking at biotechnology this time.
Oh, yeah. Huge implications.
It really does feel like it's going to be, well,
Future shaping.
exactly. We've got some incredible excerpts here from Biotechnology in Action. Catchy, right?
Definitely gets the point across.
Innovations that shape the future, and that's what we're here for, right?
Yes.
To figure out how this field, biotechnology, is going to, as they say, shape the future.
And maybe shape it for the better.
Absolutely, with all its potential, and we'll definitely talk about the
The challenges, the other.
exactly. We'll get into all that. But first, let's I guess take a step back. For anyone who maybe isn't totally familiar, when we say biotechnology, what are we even talking about?
Well, the source defines it as harnessing biological processes for technological advancements.
Okay, so that sounds pretty
That's fair.
yeah, a little bit broad, right?
And it is broad. I mean, we're talking medicine, agriculture, environment, even industry. So many possibilities.
Okay, so that's a lot to unpack. The source really seems to focus on genetic engineering as a
Well, a cornerstone.
yeah. So remind us again, what's genetic engineering?
Think of it like this. You've got an organism, any organism,
Oh.
and it was DNA, its blueprint. Genetic engineering lets us go in and manipulate that DNA to achieve specific outcomes. Essentially, we can edit the building blocks of life.
Okay, so like the example they use in the source, genetically modified bacteria that produce insulin.
Oh, absolutely. A classic example. Before that, we had to extract insulin from animals. Expensive, complicated.
Right, and then boom, scientists figure out how to use bacteria, basically turning them into these tiny insulin factories.
Exactly, and that revolutionized diabetes care, made insulin much more affordable and accessible to millions of people worldwide.
I mean, talk about impact. It's crazy how something so tiny can make such a huge difference. The source also talks about how genetic engineering is being used in agriculture too, right? To create those,
Pest-resistant crops, disease-resistant crops.
yeah, exactly. That could totally change how we grow food.
Well, the goal is to make crops stronger, more resilient. Not only can this boost food production, but we can also reduce our reliance on all those harmful pesticides and fertilizers. So, good for the environment, good for us.
A win-win for sure. Okay, so we've got genetic engineering, powerful stuff. But then the source takes us into synthetic biology.
Ah, yes.
That feels like a whole other level. How is synthetic biology different from genetic engineering?
Okay, so picture this. With genetic engineering, we're editing an existing blueprint. Synthetic biology, we're designing an entirely new one. We're going beyond tweaking what's already there. We're building whole new biological systems from scratch.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. So, like, what kind of things are they actually building with synthetic biology? What are some of the applications?
Well, imagine programming microorganisms to convert waste into biofuels.
Oh, wow.
That's exactly what some researchers are working on right now.
Amazing.
And that's not all. They're also creating microorganisms that can produce biodegradable plastics. Imagine tackling the plastic waste crisis at its source.
Okay, so we're talking about solving some of the world's biggest problems with these, I don't even know what to call them.
Microscopic engineers.
Yeah. It all sounds incredibly hopeful, but there has to be a but, right? What about the risks? There's got to be a potential downside to all of this.
Right, and the source acknowledges that too. We have to be aware of potential consequences as we dive deeper into these technologies. There are ethical considerations, questions of safety, environmental impact, access, and control.
Okay, so, like, what are some of the specific concerns that they...
Well, first off, safety regulations. How do we ensure these technologies are used responsibly and don't pose unforeseen risks?
Right.
Then there are the ecological impacts. We need to understand how these engineered organisms might interact with the natural world. We don't want to accidentally disrupt ecosystems or create invasive species.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's the whole issue of social implications. How do we ensure fair and equitable access to the benefits of biotechnology? How do we prevent it from exacerbating existing inequalities?
That's a big one. So, I mean, this all sounds like a pretty complex issue. What can we as individuals even do about this? How can we ensure this technology is used responsibly?
The first step is to stay informed. Learn about the advancements being made. Participate in discussions. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to engage in these conversations.
Yeah, that's a good point. Don't just assume that the scientists and policymakers are going to figure it all out on their own. We all have a stake in this.
Exactly. These technologies are going to shape our future, and it's up to all of us to ensure that future is a positive one.
Well said. biotechnology. It's powerful, hopeful, but it definitely requires us to be thoughtful and engaged. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.